are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Court. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due all that. That dude, the old trash. Every person who has fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game. I'm just totally excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. And once again, it is the Barnes and Tony Show. Anthony, how are you, my friends?
Feeling very good, dude. Beautiful day out. Glad to be in the studio today.
Yeah, I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better day. Would be a nice day for maybe like a baseball game in New York, you know? I mean, instead of having just like an off day for no reason, right?
Yeah, you're totally right, dude.
But I know Bob Costas needs to catch up on his Z's today after a long night in the Bronx last night.
Oh my God, Bobby!
And we do have a Buffer joining the conversation here.
Thanks for the grind.
What do you think he's implying there? You know?
I mean, do you think it's just like thanks, like he's thanking us for our grind, for working hard,
day in, day out?
Buffer.
We're here. I have a feeling that might be what he's referring to. But of course, you know, today we do have a busy show lined up. You know, we'll recap all the division games from yesterday, as well as get into the Rangers, the golf starting tomorrow in Japan. So a lot to talk about here. So let's start now in the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. A back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray.
There's damage right there. Shohei, way, Sayonara. Where did that land?
Stuck to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins and fires. Out at first.
There it goes. See ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
All right, Tony. We did have game one in the Bronx yesterday, and the New York Yankees victorious 4-1 over the Cleveland Guardians. Yankees win. Garrett Cole was outstanding. 6 1/3, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. So you know everything they needed from him and more. Threw 101 pitches and left after giving up a single in the top of the 7th inning. That was to Miles Straw, and that with Kwan coming up, who had taken him deep earlier in the game. They make the move there. So if you just you look at this from a whole. In the first couple innings, he did get into a little bit of a trouble. He had that error by IKF, and I don't know if you saw the play. Definitely a difficult play. It just kind of took a weird angle to the ball. But it was just one of those things. It's like, oh, here we go again with this guy, and he later grounded into a double play. We talked about it before the show. Makes so much sense to put Stanton in the field, Cabrera at short, and Matt Carpenter at designated hitter. Of course, he doesn't get any at bats or playing time yesterday, but listen, man, they didn't need him. And, they were fortunate too. I mentioned getting into trouble. The bases, were loaded there in that 3rd inning. And luckily, they were able to work out of that jam and made some smart decisions, and really how we got there in the 3rd. The first 2 innings, pretty nondescript, but you had Miles Straw fly out to right, and then Kwan, Cole struggling with his control down, I think 2-0 in the count, left a fastball over. He takes it to right, 360 feet, and then he hits Ahmad Rosario, a guy you're familiar with, who came to Cleveland, of course, in the Francisco Lindor package. And then Jose Ramirez doubles to left center. I was nervous they were going to score Rosario there. They hold him up at 3rd. So you got 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. They get Josh Naylor to ground into a fielder's choice. Keeps everybody, where they are. And then you had Gonzalez ground into a fielder's choice. but they, throw out Rosario at home, and then Jimenez strikes out swinging to end the inning. So I thought that was the turning point in the game, the fact that they could get out of that. And we've seen Cole, first sign of trouble, kind of wilt under the pressure. And I was just impressed. High pitch count early. He hones in, fortunately for the Yankees. Bottom of the third, Harrison Bader picks a good time to hit his first Yankee home run with a homer to the left to tie the game at 1. And then after that, Cole had a nice, easy fourth inning, retiring the side in order. Yankees don't get anything across in the bottom of the fourth. On to the fifth, pretty easy inning other than he walks Jose Ramirez, which really isn't a bad thing. I mean, he's the one guy you really fear the most. And I know Quan hit the home run, but we know Jose Ramirez, the former league MVP. We know what he brings to the table. So he avoids any trouble there. And then in the fifth inning, crazy play. So you had Josh Donaldson hit an opposite field fly ball. I've never seen this, and me and Matt, were watching the game together. And at first, I was actually really tight at the beer guy in right field because he left the, like the plastic container that you have the beers in right on the edge. And it looked like the ball hit off of that and then went back into play. But really, when you look at the replay, it hits the top of that padding, and for whatever reason, goes back into the field of play. Josh Donaldson thinks it's a home run. Yankee Stadium, PA even plays the home run song, and then he gets caught up between first and second, and that's when we were like, what are you doing? If there's a question, you just go back to first. He doesn't. He gets thrown out. They review it. The play on the field stands, and I believe you're going to pull up the video now.
Yes, I am.
Josh Donaldson.
Here we go.
See that? Right. Doesn't it look like when you watch it in real time, it looks like it hits right off the
top. Yeah.
But then he just goes nowhere and gets thrown out. And it's just like, you got to be sure. And I think if he was hustling out of the box there, he probably could have got a double. But instead, he kind of just is admiring this. But I mean, how do you hit a ball like that?
I have no idea.
What are the chances of that?
Dude.
So that was a bad break. So you felt, oh my God, this is really going to spell trouble. But luckily, IKF actually gets a triple with an error, so technically a single, after the ball's misplayed in right field. And then Jose Trevino, runner in scoring position like he has all season, comes through with that sac fly to center. So that made it 2-1 Yankees. Cole comes out for the 6th, strikes out 2 out of the 3 batters, 1, 2, and 3. So he gets through 6 there. You felt really good about that. Aaron Judge leads off the 6th with a walk, and then Anthony Rizzo, a guy with a lot of postseason experience. You think about all his years with Chicago, winning that title in 2016. A homer to right. He admires it, but unlike Josh Donaldson, this one actually leaves the building. So that made it 4-1 Yankees, and believe it or not, that was it for the scoring. The rest of the night, you think about the 7th inning, Cole comes out, gets Austin Hedges to ground out, and as I mentioned earlier, Miles Straw singles to left center. IKF tried to make a play on it, couldn't get up there. So Loaizaga comes in. He allows a single to Quan. So Quan, really having good at bats here. He lined out hard, but it was right up to Rizzo in the first. Obviously, homering his next at bat, and then a single there. So you had you had a runner on first there, and luckily, for the Yankees, Rosario grounds into a double play, ending the inning. And then, like I said, no more scoring here. So Yankees don't do anything. 8th inning, Jose Ramirez leads off with a single to right. My guy, and I told Matt that, even though he's been good, I don't want Wandy in, but of course they bring him in, and he gets a double play. Josh Naylor grounds into a double play, and he strikes out Gonzalez to end the 8th. And then, on to the 9th here, Jimenez leading off the inning, grounds out to short. And then they bring in Clay Holmes, and then I don't say anything to Matt. How he's very superstitious with things. So I didn't want to say, dude, I can't believe they're bringing Holmes. I'm worried that he's gonna blow it, but that's obviously what I was thinking in my head. First pitch, he hits a batter. So we have a runner on, 1 out. But luckily for Holmes, he induces a ground out of Benson and a fly out to Miles Straw. And I don't know if you heard this. The Boo Birds were out for Miles Straw. You think about him in April, climbing up that outfield wall, talking smack to the fans, saying that they're the worst fans in sports.
I bet.
So he was relentlessly booed. But hey, man, you win game 1, 4-1. And I think the biggest thing that we saw here was the fact that your pitching stepped up, because that's what you needed in the postseason. Runs are at a premium. You're facing a lot better pitching. And the fact that you were able to get some big hits, from Rizzo, from Bader, Trevino with that sac fly, and the fact that you put together the bullpen. Costas was constantly talking about how battered the bullpen was, and what a question mark that is. But they get the job done. And while I was against it at the time, I mean, I think it's good that Holmes, comes in there to get the final couple outs, because now you establish some type of confidence in him. You establish some roles as well, because I think it's really tough to do closer by committee, come postseason time. So really was happy about the win. And there's just a lot to like right now. My one critique of the whole evening, and I mentioned to you this before the show, Costas has got to go, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's too old, too much plastic surgery. I don't know if he did anything with the vocal cords, but he just doesn't get up for the moment. And he's always a guy who would wax poetic about Mickey Mantle. So I was just very confused as to why he seemed like he was pulling for the Guardians, just constantly mentioning, oh, they have a shot. A lot of people expect them to possibly win this series. So I just think it was insane. And, Matt agreed with me as well here. But I mean, just kind of curious, your takeaways here. In your eyes, I mean, was the most important thing here the fact that, with a lot of question marks looming about him in a big spot, the fact that Garrett Cole gave you a vintage performance here?
Yeah, I would say that's obviously huge. I think there was a lot of good things to take away that I didn't really expect, or a lot of people not to expect. One of which was Cole. The second of which was how good the bullpen did in general. I think the bullpen as a whole gave up 2 hits, right? Over the 3 different bullpen guys. So that's good. And I think, having guys like Rizzo step up and Bader over there step up. I mean, those are guys that, obviously have their moments in the regular season. Bader's been hitting well, Rizzo too. But again, you think of postseason, you think of who's going to leave their mark. You would think Judge or Stanton or a little bit of Rizzo, sure. But I still feel like, Judge didn't have a great night. I think he was 0 for 3, I think, right?
3
strikeouts, 0 for 3 with a walk.
But I think that's a positive, Tony, because you win without him.
No, that's what I'm alluding to, Brian. Okay?
No, but I'm agreeing.
Take it easy, Brian. All right, jeez, dude.
You're going to make that a bite, dude.
I might.
Upset. Let me finish, Tony.
So no, yeah, not having Judge strike out 3 times, having Stanton not get on base. Actually, I think he got walked once, but 0 for 2, and then even with the lineup, like we kind of laid down a lineup we thought that would be good. They didn't really do that. It was IKF making mistakes, Josh Donaldson making mistakes around the bases here, and they still kind of pulled out the victory. So I think overcoming those obstacles during the game and still winning. Pretty good too, like 4-1, scoring 4 runs is great. Only giving up 1 is phenomenal, especially to the Guardians here. So I would say, yeah, it was a lot of surprises here for the Yankees. And I'm pretty excited to see how game 2 comes out.
And if it's funny, I know you can't, it's always if, but if you take away the 2 outs on the bases that were made by Donaldson, he also had another play where there was a liner, and it almost seemed like Jose Ramirez purposely dropped it, so he was caught in limbo once again on the bases. So that was 2 outs, but he made an outstanding play, literally looking like Greg Nettles at third, Tony. Full dive for the ball. He knows Austin Hedges is running. Matt was very impressed with it as well, and he just takes his time, gets up, makes the throw, gets the out. It was like a gold glove play. You love to see that. He walked as well. So it was funny, he really did have a good game. And I don't think complete blame can be put on him for that whole home run situation.
Yeah.
That's like a once in a lifetime situation. But hey, luckily it didn't hurt him, because you really thought, that it would. And the Yankees look forward to game 2. And like I said, it's just unfortunate what this is going to do to this series. I do expect them to sweep, though, so won't hurt them too much in terms of the pitching. But the fact that, it looks like tomorrow it's basically a certainty that's going to be a rain out, and then you're going to play consecutively. If it went 5, you would go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that doesn't allow you to pitch guys that pitched previously in the series on shorter rest. So really the only guy that could pitch twice would be Garrett Cole, which is obviously great. But it starts game 2. And like I said, I anticipate that to be on Friday. And you're going to see Shane Bieber versus Nestor Cortez. The Yankees beat up on Bieber earlier in the season, so there's a confidence level there. And I mean, we saw all the times Nestor Cortez went out there and above anybody gave the Yankees the best chance to win all season. So I'd expect nothing less going into this game too. But hopefully this is a learning experience in terms of the schedule making here. I just feel like there's just no reason to have an off day when you're not traveling
Right.
after one game of the series.
Why is there an off day?
I don't know. I think they like staggering games so that they
Right.
don't have to compete against one another. Standalone has more value. You don't need to have start games at 1 o'clock when people are working.
Yeah, but now tomorrow, you know, you're going to be up against Thursday Night Football.
Well, you're not because there's going to be a rain out, but I understand what you're saying.
Right.
And we talked about this. You're telling me, I mean, I almost think it's 50-50. You ask somebody, do you want to watch the Bears and the Commanders? Or do you want to watch the Yankees and the Guardians? I mean, that's a tough one. You know, if it was something, you know, like the Chiefs and the Bills, I think it would be a different situation.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny. Me and Matt always crack up, and I might have mentioned this before. I thought of it because his dad texted him this. So we always would die when Costas was on the Sunday Night Football coverage, the pregame for NBC.
Mhm.
Whenever you would talk about Peyton or Eli, he always calls them Manning. I don't know if you've heard him say
Yeah.
it. So his dad, he said, texted him right as soon as he came over last night and goes, I didn't realize Manning was on the call for this one.
It's so funny.
I got a kick out of that. So listen, man, it's a good day. And you know, you got 10 more victories to a title, Tony. But it all starts one game at a time. And that'll be game 2, either Thursday or Friday. So obviously I cannot wait for that. And there's a sense of relief, definitely, the fact that Garrett Cole performed, because first sign in trouble, like I said, I was nervous, and it's funny. And I know you're the same way watching a playoff game, but it's like me and Matt were talking about it, and it's like you live on every pitch.
Yeah.
Everything is stressful. Every one thing goes wrong. It's so stressful. And it's nice that they were able to come back after falling behind 1-0. So great night in the Bronx. You know, we did have a few other games yesterday. One being the Astros and the Mariners, and probably the most exciting game of the day here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the Astros win this one 8-7 on a Yordan Alvarez
Classic.
walk-off 3-run homer. This is after Justin Verlander only went 4,
Not
10
classic.
hits, 6 earned runs.
Crazy.
Mariners led 7-3 after 7 innings, but battled back, got a couple guys on, and they lift former Met great Paul Sewald with 2 outs there in the 9th inning. He was 1 strike away and let up a hit to Pena, the rookie shortstop filling in for Carlos Correa this year, obviously. And they go to Robbie Ray out of the bullpen. And there's always been in the postseason, you know, managers trying to get creative. Maybe they don't think the bullpen's a strength, matchups, this and that. But putting starters in middle of innings, high leverage situations, 2 pitches in, he hangs a 93-mile-an-hour fastball over the middle of the plate, and the Astros walk it off. And everybody's saying now, I mean, how do the Mariners come back from this? You know,
can't,
I mean, you almost expect them to get swept.
Yeah, at this point.
And I mean, I know you want a lefty in, I guess, against Alvarez, but Paul Sewald, I know he was a disaster with the Mets, but he's had a great year for the Mariners. And I don't know how you put in Ray over him, or, you know, he only throwing 18 pitches, I think, or another reliever in the bullpen. So I thought that was a terrible managing job out of Scott Service. And this is after an impressive wild card series win over Toronto.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, maybe they could recover, but it's just, you really don't think so. The fact that you were able to score 6 runs off Justin Verlander and you don't win that game, you know, that's really pathetic. And, you know, that's almost a fireable offense, I think, going to Ray there.
Yeah, I think so. Especially like in that, like you were mentioning, you know, Sewald has been having a good year. I think he has over 20 saves on the season here. You know, 2.6 ERA, whatever it was, 2.67, I think. Come on. I mean, I don't know. Dude. Bring in Robbie Ray of all people. It's not like he's like a guarantee, I feel.
Yeah, like, he's the guy that's benching.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's just a bad job on his part. Obviously, really tough for Seattle to, I guess, you know, to just lose. It's such a drastic comeback. I guess it's kind of, you know, I mean, it's basically what they did to Toronto, you know. When
Yeah.
you think about it, which is kind of funny, and to not capitalize on someone like Verlander not having a good outing and getting a win like that, it's just absolutely brutal, dude. You know, you got to do better than that. You really have to.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and another game from yesterday, we saw the Phillies, believe it or not, take game one in Atlanta, 7-6 over Atlanta. They jump out to a 2-0 lead there in the first inning on a Castellanos single and an Alex Boehm single as well. And it's Castellanos, who was like a walking carcass all year, had a huge game, going 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. And the Phillies, they do give up 3 runs in the 9th inning, but hang on 7-6 to take game one. Both starters chased after not even going 4 innings. You look at Suarez, 3 1/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Wow. Max Fried, 3 1/3, 8 hits,
That's
6
crazy.
runs, 4 of them earned, a walk and 2 strikeouts. And then I did see on this one too, David Robertson, some type of injury, so he's not on the roster. I'm not even sure if he's out for the whole postseason. But the Phillies, make a very curious decision here. I know they'd used a lot of their relievers earlier. But they go with Eflin in the 9th and gives up 3 runs. So, you don't have that cushion. Could be a completely different result. But obviously, at the end of the day, Tony, big win for the Phillies here to steal one on the road.
Dude, this is huge. I mean, absolutely surprising. Again, for someone like Max Fried to not have a good outing, I think is crazy, and especially against the Phillies. I mean, you think about what they did against, their divisional rivals. They really didn't compete that well against the Mets or the Braves this season. And I understand, like they've been playing well as of late, but I mean, it's just crazy. Like, it really is just kind of ridiculous that the Braves lost this one. And I understand, they came back late. I think Olsen had that home run in the 9th, right? And then Darno started off in the home run in the 2nd. But basically in between that, I mean, I think Darno had an RBI double or something too. So it's like, not everyone really showed up in terms of offense. But again, I mean, you score 6 runs, you're expecting a win from that. You're certainly not expecting Max Fried to not make it through 4 innings and give up, I think, 4 earned runs, 5 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 8 hits. I mean, that's pretty crazy, dude, that it was the outcome. But I still think the Braves will be fine, to be honest. Moving on from that, I don't think they'll have another pitcher who kind of, I guess, gets blanked in another game like this. So I think they'll be fine, and Austin Riley was 0 for 4 last night. That's not normal. Just looking at the rest of the lineup here, Swanson was 1 for 5. I mentioned Riley. Even Harris 0 for 4. They were struggling a little bit, offensively in the lineup, and there really wasn't much reason for that, other than it's just probably themselves. So I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I believe game 2 today, the National League, both National League games will be today. American League off. Speaking of National League, the other game, the Dodgers 5-3 over the Padres. Take a 2-0 lead early in the first inning there. Second batter of the game, you get a Trey Turner solo shot. You chase Mike Clevenger. Doesn't even last 3 innings. 2 2/3, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. You get just enough from Urias. 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Bullpen locks it down. Craig Kimbrell left off the postseason roster after the struggles down the stretch. Listen, I mean, the Padres knew this would be tough. Obviously, after the 3rd inning, they don't allow any runs, but not able to generate more than those 3 runs in the 5th inning themselves. And they fall in game 1 here. And we both had picked the Padres. But we knew it would be tough. So at the end of the day, yes, you can't be that surprised that the Dodgers take this one. They just have found ways to win, and that's why they led the majors in wins this season.
Yeah, that's for sure, dude.
And
shame about Clevenger, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of, the picks, the points, little tough day at the saddle for you, Tony. But you do, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but you do pick up that point there on the Rangers. So total for 2 points right now. I'm settling in at 10 after really just missing on the Padres yesterday, hitting on everything else. And got a little lucky with the Astros. I mean, that was just an insane, set of circumstances. But yeah, postseason baseball full effect. And I mentioned, a couple more games today. So we'll just take a look in terms of those matchups here. We got at 4:35 on Fox, Phillies at the Braves, Zach Wheeler versus Kyle Wright, who led the majors in wins this season. Judging by, kind of how you coined this game one loss here, I would anticipate that you'd be pretty confident in the Braves here, but if you would, your selection, your synopsis of this game two series.
Yeah, sure. I think that excuse me. Obviously, you have two really good pitching. You have two really good pitchers here in their matchup. You mentioned Kyle Wright leading the league in wins. That's not there for no reason. Of course, Zach Wheeler, a really good pitcher in his own right. 2.82 ERA, 12-7 on the season. As of late, leading up to this postseason, he did really well. Even during his postseason. His last outing against the Cardinals, 6 1/3, no earned runs, only 2 hits off of him. Obviously, he's got good stuff. Nonetheless, Kyle Wright does as well. I do think that it's going to be a slow starting game, to be honest. I don't think scoring is going to really start until maybe the 4th inning, but I think it's going to be off of an Austin Riley 2-run home run to start it going. And then from there, I say Zach Wheeler maybe last 6 innings, probably 6 innings, 3 earned runs is going to be his final line. Maybe 5 Ks. I don't expect him. He doesn't have an incredibly high strikeout rate, and the Braves don't strike out a lot as well. So I feel like scoring will start around the 4th inning for the Braves and won't really stop until the end of the game here. I think maybe Kyle Wright goes, 6 2/3, gives up 2 earned runs or something. Maybe a 2-run blast off a boom or something like that. Other than that, I think the Braves can kind of cruise into this one a little bit. They find their bats a little bit better here against, you could argue a better pitcher than Suarez is Wheeler. So I would say the Braves take this one. I'll say 6-3. They score 6 runs again.
Yeah. I mean, and conventional wisdom. I mean, let's be real here. Would predict a bounce back win for the Braves. We know that the talented team that they have. But it does seem like the Phillies here are on a mission. They just removed that interim tag from Rob Thompson.
Yeah,
that's 2-year extension there. A baseball lifer, guy who spent a lot of time in the Yankee organization, very popular with the players. So great story there. And we speak of talent. I mean, not to say that the Braves roster isn't better, but the Phillies, aren't slouches themselves. And a guy who had a big game yesterday, Nick Castellanos, has been a big force the last couple of years, other than just being on the Tom Brenneman call there before he got fired. I mean, he's done other things as well, even though that's all we think about him for. So, he has a terrible year, comes up big. So it seems like, maybe he'll be the next postseason hero. We know what Bryce Harper can do. Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Zach Wheeler's a Cy Young Award winner, former Met as well. And I don't know, man, even though, I had the Braves here in this series, I'm going to take the Phillies. I just think ride that wave of momentum here for the Phillies. And like you said, I think, scoring will be at a premium early.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think, later on in this game, maybe once we get into that Braves bullpen, which has been so dominant, but as we've talked about many times on this show, no matter what we're talking about, what comes up, must come down. And I can see them running into some trouble with their power hitters. So I think, it's scoreless through 5. Both starters lifted midway through the 6th. Battle of the bullpens, and the Phillies win. I'm going to say 3-2. Go ahead, solo home run by Bryce Harper, top of the 9th inning. Alvarado working back-to-back days, in for the save. Phillies shocked the world, up 2-0 in this NLDS.
You like Bryce Harper, huh?
And when
You've
Michael
been pretty keen on him.
when
dude.
Michael K was calling that series, it just kind of gave us a preview of what it could have been like. In terms of Bryce Harper, Yankee Stadium, see ya, all of that, because I think he would have been an all-timer. That's for sure. And imagine him and Judge going back to back there, each from the left and right side respectively. What a 1-2 punch that would be. But hey, listen, we'll take the guys that we have. And we got an interesting game 2 here between the Dodgers and the Padres. This one 8:37 on FS1. Former Dodger who pitched in the World Series for them way back when, Yu Darvish here on the hill versus Clayton Kershaw. Two guys that have been red hot lately. So you would anticipate here another pitcher's duel. Total set at 7. I could see it being under that. I think both guys are on a roll right now. I know Darvish has struggled in the postseason before, but he was electric against the New York Mets. And I'm kind of expecting a similar outing here. We'll start with you. Dodgers 190 on the money line. Home favorites, of course, and would be favorites no matter where they're playing. But what do you see here in terms of this one?
I don't know, man. I think 190 is pretty tough, dude. It seems like a lot.
You wouldn't pay the piper?
I would not pay the piper. I would go as far as to honestly pick the Padres here tonight. Like you mentioned, Hugh Darvish is pretty fresh in my mind, from the Mets series here. He really didn't give up much against the Mets here. And we've seen the Dodgers, have a little bit of hiccups here and there for the offense. I think it's very possible here that Hugh Darvish can come out here and just start fanning Dodgers left and right. I also think it's very possible that Kershaw can kind of come in here and not really do well. You understand that, he's also been kind of shoddy in the postseason as well. Of course, it's a big question mark because, a lot of it was against the Astros, them being a, bunch of cheaters. But nonetheless, I feel like, ESPN has them favored 72.6% to win here.
First sign of trouble.
First sign of trouble was right, dude. And I think, Kershaw, the Dodgers trying to play games here with putting Julio in game 1, Kershaw game 2. I think they're playing with something here. I want to say, and, the Padres, who have been, offensively doing very well. I mentioned up until the postseason against the Mets, last night, Will Myers, I think, had a home run for them. Soto was quiet, Machado was quiet, a guy Grisham was quiet, Josh Bell was quiet. They have these other guys who I think are going to have a good series. Honestly, they're not going to be going 0 for 3, 0 for 4, the whole time against the Dodgers. And I think tonight, Kershaw may step into some trouble. I do think it is going to go under 7 runs. I would say, honestly, I think it's going to be the Padres winning it 4-2 here. Maybe 8th inning, Soto with a nice, 2-run blast, putting them up 4-2. Padres hold it down in the 9th. Maybe a little Josh Hader action, showing the world that he still has it. And they win game 2 here.
So I agree with some of that. At the end of the day, though, I am going to continue with the Dodger dominance. I was burned by the Padres yesterday here on the picks. And speaking of Hader, this season, so what I'm saying here,
I think he did well against the Mets.
Both starting pitchers will do their job. 6 scoreless, under 7, like you said. And what I think is going to happen, Juan Soto, 3-run homer in the top of the 7th. Dodgers, though, answer back with a Trey Turner 3-run homer. So he goes deep in back-to-back games here. 3-3 going into the bottom of the 9th. And we're going to see Freddie Freeman, a guy who was built for the postseason, walk-off home run, sending Chavez Ravine, Tony, into hysteria, as the Dodgers will be 1 victory away from once again playing in the National League Championship Series. It's postseason baseball time.
Let's see it, dude.
Yeah. Nothing like postseason baseball. If you would, Tony, assist me on this one.
It's
like first hitting the hashish a little bit. It's like he hasn't been watching though to ask that question.
No, I think he's just messing with you, obviously.
But come on, a little weak with Prefer No here. No,
I don't think so, dude.
Just to read it off.
Anything's up there. All right, so Prefer says, Barnes, what are you watching on Thursday night? Commanders versus Bears or Yankees playoffs?
Well, obviously Prefer, that I'm all Yankees all the way. It's Yankees, it's nothing. You know what I mean? It's Yankees or nothing. That's it.
It's Yankees, it's nothing.
And this game is nothing. But looking at the forecast, looks like we'll have a washout. But I'm actually going to be at game 2, of this series. So the choice has already been made. But I think it's going to be a washout. And then it's probably a Friday afternoon game with the travel day. No day off in between, heading to Cleveland, I would assume. I'm all for Friday night as well. But it's kind of cool having a day game on a Friday.
Day game on a Friday.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But I think, mark my words here, I think that Thursday night football game will be the lowest rated Thursday night football game of all time.
Mark his words.
So I love postseason baseball. I say it all the time. Favorite time of year. Me and Matt had a great time last night watching this. And, the one negative is Costas. Ron could barely speak. So you don't really get the full effect there. I know he's honestly out of all the Mets broadcasters, I think he's the one that I actually have respect for. I think Cohen and Hernandez are jokes for sure, but Ron does know his stuff. So credits where credits due, but it'd be nice to see him with, a better play-by-play there. And what do we have here for Prefer?
He also asked, now your thoughts on man shoved by Devontae Adams, filed police report. We talked about this yesterday, but now I guess he went to the hospital with injuries. Huge payday because Adams signed a 5-year, $141.25 million deal with the franchise in March. Hey, man, get your money.
Yeah, but I mean, he'll give him up to $1 million and then he'll go away.
And then he'll probably get fired. That guy would certainly,
you think he gets fired, the guy?
Yeah, first of all, production guy. You got to blame him a little bit here for what he did.
Stepped on his feet.
Stepped basically on Devontae Adams.
Stepped on his toes.
And it's like you gotta have some situational awareness here. Adams is more in the wrong than he. But listen, at any point, especially I feel like in the production world, when you do something like this that kind of puts, I guess the production team in the limelight, on blast or whatever, it's just not a good look, at all. And this guy, I don't know if he was like a union guy or a freelancer, but he may not be getting called back for next game.
No, absolutely not. That is for sure, Tony. But hey, I guess we'll see bugaboo, Tony. I guess we'll see what happens as Michael checks in and says, "Let's go," and we know he's referring to that Game 1 victory in the Bronx last night. Regarding the Yankees. Coming, I saw it coming. The only person who didn't see it coming was Tony with that pick of the Guardians on the pick segment
Tony's
yesterday.
Favorite team.
But hey, we'll let it slide for now. But let's go to a topic that we can both agree about: the world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot.
Big hit on the far side by McCarr! He flattens Jordan's skull! Oh my goodness!
Next to top, right back, terrifying and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliant from Igor Shesterkin.
It's a breakaway to win it in overtime! McDavid scores! The winner in overtime!
All right, so no overtime yesterday, but
No.
the Rangers do win 3-1 in the opener. Of course, overshadowed here by the Yankees game across town. Nevertheless, it's always nice to start a season with a victory. And he came up big last year. He comes up big again. Really two guys I could actually speak of here. One being Mika Zibanejad, Tony, with 2 goals. I believe one on a power play, one shorthanded. I believe that was the first one after a scoreless first period. And then Igor Shesterkin,
Right.
after his breakout year last year, another dominant performance. I know you were beaming watching this one and getting a little revenge for that Eastern Conference Finals loss just last season.
Yeah, dude. I was at practice last night, so I was kind of watching a little bit on my phone here and there, getting the Twitter highlights. Then when I finally got home, I watched the rest of the game. But I mean, I thought that this game was a way to start the season just right. I think we kind of picked up where we left off in terms of things we were doing well, which were special teams. Last season our power play was great, our penalty kill was great, and last night it was. I think Tampa Bay was 1 for 6 on their penalties on the power plays, right? So our PK was phenomenal. There was just one point where Stamkos was in the slot, got a beautiful feed cross ice. Stamkos does not miss in that situation. You really can't blame many for that. When you're playing a man down, that's Stamkos' bread and butter. But 1 for 6 on the power play for Tampa Bay. That's some great defense, some great penalty killing by the Rangers here. And then not to mention, you talked about Zibanejad's shorthanded goal. That play started with the captain, Jacob Trouba. I think he blocked the shot, got up, a nice saucer pass to Mika, and it was off the races for him. So you absolutely love the special teams here from the Rangers. And again, they scored once in the power play as well. You'd like to see, I think they're 1 for 4 in the power play. I like to see a little bit more, but you're not complaining about that. But I think what was huge in terms of an improvement from last year was just their like fundamentals of hockey here. And you know where it started with puck possession, right? Setting up in the offensive zone here, retaining the puck and getting pressure onto Tampa Bay. And the way that started was with faceoffs, surprisingly, which we talked about it last season in the postseason specifically too. Our faceoffs absolutely sucked. I believe we won about 63% of our faceoffs last night. And a lot of that started with the offseason acquisition of Vincent Trocheck. We talked about Ryan Strome leaving, one of our better centers, bringing in Trocheck, who's a great center. He won 10 faceoffs last night. I think he was 10 for 16, in winning those faceoffs. And it was, all over the ice, whether it was, center, offensive zone, defensive faceoffs, whatever, dude. He was composed. He was winning us the puck. And from then on, we could set up our offense, push down the ice. And that was just a huge part of why we won and why we shut down Tampa Bay. I mean, limiting them to 1 goal. Of course, there was great block shots by our defense and Fox and Trouba and Miller, great saves by Shesterkin. But I mean, we shut them down because we had just so much possession, so much more possession than we were used to because we were winning those faceoffs. And obviously, Brian, as you know, if we have the puck, they don't. They cannot score without the puck. So it was just absolute phenomenal game. And you look at the drive of these guys coming in here, playing a team like Tampa Bay, getting that revenge spot, as Brian likes to talk about. They came in here, they played with like a team. Jacob Trouba looked great wearing the C, on his shoulder. Gerard Gallant was pleasantly surprised, I think, with the team and how they performed. Of course, he was saying how much hype up from the preseason coming into this game. He expected the guys to play with some drive, with some enthusiasm, which is exactly what they did. It was just great. It was great fundamental hockey being played. One thing I would like to see is just us finding the back of the net a little bit more on 5-on-5 hockey. I think as the season goes on and, we get more into that hockey mode, they understand, where guys should be, are going to be sort of deal. We'll find the back of the net 5-on-5. But I think one thing that, from my memory, from the postseason was our struggles, on 5-on-5 hockey, just not being able to convert on big moments, just, missing the net or getting, too puck happy, waiting too much for that perfect shot. In which case we have to rely a lot on our special teams in terms of scoring. So I'd like to see some more 5-on-5 goals here, which I think we will. But I mean, other than that, you got to chalk it up to it. Just a phenomenal win. Great way to start the season. Absolutely pumped here for the Rangers.
Yeah. And, right now, obviously, focused on the Yankees, but once the Major League Baseball season, no, let me finish, Tony. All right. what I was going to say is obviously I'm still keeping track of the Rangers here, and especially if the games aren't on at the same time, I will definitely watch. I was just going to say once the postseason is over, we got to figure out a time to go to a Ranger game. Last year was great. Jack Dempsey's before.
Yeah, dude.
It was sick.
That's the
there's
spot.
no other way.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. So I cannot wait to return to the Garden. It's just a great fall, winter place to be. That is for sure. So the Rangers start out with a victory, as do Gerard Gallant's former team, the Golden Knights. 5-4 over the 4-3. My mistake there. Over the Los Angeles Kings. So I thought that was big for them, and the Knights coming off a disappointing year last year. Able to rebound in this one. And I know you've been high on the Kings,
right?
But I think the better team won here. Nice to see Jack Eichel with the goal as well for Vegas. I think this is a big year for him, and he could have a breakout year. Time will tell there. But a lot of scoring. Not so much early, but in the third period, because we had Velarde score in the first for the Kings to make it 1-0. But Marchessault answering back in the second to tie it at 1. And then the third goes by Eichel, by Kempe, by Carlson, by Kaliv, and Mark Stone. The game winner for Vegas there in the third period. As we say hello to Renee and Michael here. Always love having them in the studio. But any thoughts here, Tony? I mean, were you impressed by this victory for the Golden Knights?
Yes, I was a little impressed here for the Knights.
I feel like I'm hearing myself.
I know, me too. What is that? But I mean, you look at this team. I mean, the Knights have a new head coach this year, and Bruce Cassidy,
former Bruins
head coach. Yeah, so obviously, Bruce Cassidy is, he's a very good coach.
Hall of Famer.
He is going to be a Hall of Fame coach.
Is he actually? I was just kidding.
No, he really is. I mean, before that, he coached the Capitals too. Obviously to not many victories, but the Bruins obviously has. But I will say, him having that kind of veteran experience for this young Golden Knights team that struggled last year, that again kind of suppose got a little bit lucky in their first year in the season in the league, I should say, just because of the way the players ride around themselves, being kind of caught in that expansion draft, a very precarious situation puts those players in, but they kind of rallied around themselves, around Gallant. But nonetheless, I think Bruce Cassidy is going to lead this team to kind of these grind out wins, I think, this season, especially when you have a team like the Kings who are playing super sloppy defense. There's a couple of goals they let up because of just, bad line changes, just sloppy line changes. There was a breakdown of communication in the Kings. The Kings let the Knights have 51 shots on goal last night, which is pretty crazy. 51 shots on goal is a lot, dude. So the Kings, obviously not playing much defense. They were up early. They seemed kind of complacent. They're a little flat-footed, especially in that third period where the Knights started scoring over and over. I mean, just on that last goal by Stone, you had the Kings had possession the last 30 seconds here. They absolutely just gave it up, and basically, in their neutral zone, right on the blue line here. I forget who took it, but they brought it up to the middle of the ice, and he just whipped it past Quick. I think Jonathan Quick looked a little slow in between the pipes.
I mean, he's old now.
He's got to be 34 or something like that. But I mean, there was a few goals he gave up where he was it was stand up goalie. He was trying to just kick it away, and it's like what do you like? He's just not quick enough to get down to the butterfly and kind of get on top of these pucks, it seems. So it's going to be interesting to see how his season progresses, how the Kings seasons progress in general. Because I will say, this was not a good way to start the season off for LA. They're a veteran team. They should know better. They have some young guys. They have some talent that's younger. They should know better to start a season like this.
Yeah. And speaking of starting a season, we have a few teams here starting their seasons tonight.
Quite a few teams.
Nice to have a full slate here. We already had the 2 baseball picks, so let's pick 2 hockey games. And as always, Tony, The floor is yours.
All right, I'm going to go with my first pick. It'll be an obvious one just because the Avalanche just got their rings yesterday. And I don't know if you saw this, but oh my God, dude, the fucking drip, Brian, on these rings. Icy, dude. Obviously studded up. The boxes they got, you open it up, and the highlight reel, the cup finals pops up, dude. It's awesome. And you got to imagine these guys are just totally hyped, excited to be here. Not to mention, of some of the, off-season acquisitions that Colorado has. Obviously, dude, I am going to check Daily Face-Off here to see if we have some starting goalies in here.
We're going backups already, opening night?
I don't know, dude. I just want to make sure, dude. You never know,
nursing some things,
Yeah,
hockey,
you never know.
Injury information.
You do have Darcy confirmed for the Capitals. That might be an issue. So we have Georgiev unconfirmed here. But against Peter Mrazek in between pipes here. I don't know, dude. I feel it could be good. It could be bad for him. I would imagine with Colorado's offense, it won't be anything that great. And I think that maybe Colorado can score 2 goals here, but Avalanche, I think they're going to score 5 or 6. So give me the Avalanche here. I'll say 5-2.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, tons of talent still on that team. Better goalie, getting Gorgie in lieu of Darcy Kemper. Speaking of an upgrade in goal, how about the Edmonton Oilers, Tony, getting Jack Campbell from Toronto here in the offseason?
I think that's huge.
So you think about Kane, you think about McDavid, you think about Draisaitl, and I just think Edmonton is in for a banner year. So give me the Oilers. I think offense early and often, maybe 3 goals in the first period. And I think, this is going to be a walk-away victory here for Edmonton. I'm going to say they're going to take this one 6-2 in the opener at home versus the Vancouver Canucks.
Let's go. High scoring, dude. I'm going to go, oh, man. I'll go for the Battle of Canada here. I'll pick Toronto over Montreal. Montreal, in terms of goaltending matchup, Jake Allen's good, but Toronto having Matt Murray, former Penguin, obviously having a few Stanley Cup runs of his own here, I think honestly is an upgrade for the Leafs, to be honest. Having Matt Murray, he's a phenomenal goalie. I would expect him to have a good season. And again, you think of the talent that they have on Toronto. Excuse me, how good Mitch Marner was this past season. Austin Matthews is there as well. And against Canada, who, again, a couple young dudes, they showed a lot of grit, in the tail end of their season last year. But I think ultimately in terms of, and I'm sure they worked a lot on chemistry and a lot, on just building each other up and getting confidence on the ice here. I think against Toronto, maybe a tall task here for the Canadiens. And they'll play well. I think it'll be tight. I'll say Maple Leafs take this one 3-2.
All right. And you were mentioning Kemper may be a problem. I'm going to take Kemper in Washington. I think the Bruins, this is going to be a 25-30 win season. So Bruce Cassidy almost got out of Dodge there. Not having to be around for that one. And I want to say, Ovechkin, Oshie, just to name a couple guys here with goals. And I think they're going to shut him out. Kemper, showing, hey, listen, I am good. It wasn't just because I had the best defense in NHL history potentially last year with Colorado. So I'm going to say 2-0 Capitals as they pick up their first victory, Tony, of the season.
All right, dude. Love it. Happy for some hockey, dude. Finally a big slate today, too.
Yeah. We're getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
Here for sure. Kemper, over 900 percentage with the saves.
898.
Had to do it. I'm going to say 925. So a big year coming up for Darcy as Ovechkin looks to get back to the promised land. And then another event starting here. We're actually going to talk golf for a second. the Zozo Championship from Agordia Golf Club in Japan. This is an event, a few years ago, Tiger Woods picked up a victory in. Actually was his last victory he's had on the PGA Tour here. And Japan's own Hideki Matsuyama, the defending champion here. A lot of talent in the field as well. And this is a return to Japan after last year's event was held at Sherwood Country Club in California. So they get back to the home course, and some notables here. Sunjae Im, last week's winner, Tom Kim, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Mackenzie Hughes, Tommy Fleetwood, Cameron Young, Victor Davis, and Victor Hovland and Cameron Davis. So a bunch of different ways to go here. And I'm just curious, Tony, in this tournament over in Japan, what are you thinking here? Is it back-to-backs for Matsuyama?
I think Matsuyama struggles to make the cut even.
Wow.
Colin Morikawa comes out victorious.
Wow, and Morikawa, who came in hot last season, really fell off. But, you have to feel like at one point or another, that hot streak, is going to happen again.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's a solid pick for you. I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood, something different. I just think that he's always been a talented golfer, and he shows up in these events with a lot of talent around him. So give me Tommy Fleetwood here to win the Zozo Championship. And I just can't wait to see Tiger. I mentioned him. He had won this tournament before. I can't wait to see him back in action. Have you? I'm guessing you've seen the Tiger Watch on the Michael Kay show.
Oh yeah.
Peter gets roused.
Oh yeah, it's nice, dude. No, it's cute. It's cute.
Oh yeah, very cute, very cute. Before with another.
We do have a comment from Befur. He wants to know our thoughts on Marshawn Lynch being hired by Amazon Prime to be part of its Thursday Night Football pregame broadcast team. He is mentioning how he was arrested and charged with the DUI in August.
Listen, man. We could take skeletons out of everybody's closets here. So
wow.
He got a DUI.
Your closet too?
I wasn't talking about all of us. I'm just talking about generally speaking in the world. So my bad for not clarifying that, Tony. But come on, people make mistakes. Now, if Lynch were tomorrow, go rob a bank or go kill somebody, I think it would be a different situation. But he got one DUI. Al Michaels, think about him. He's had a DUI, the old U-turn after a couple glasses of wine a few years ago. So you don't write somebody off because of a DUI. That's not the world that we live in.
But do you like Marshawn Lynch on the broadcast team?
So I guess, I don't know, man. I just feel like, there's so many, commentators out there these days, analysts for football. And I just think nobody does it better than the Downtime TV team. So it's hard for me to get too riled about anybody other than Al Michaels, because I feel like living legend, I respect his voice of authority, and Romo and Nance. I think they deserve some credit as well. Yeah, I know you're bucking Aikman out, right?
Aikman is just
really that's your bugaboo.
Yeah, he's the bugaboo, Brian. But I think Marshawn. I've seen him on broadcast. I think he was on Manning Cast last time I saw. He's just like not funny. I feel, and he's not entertaining. And he's. I don't know. I feel like he's just not very coherent in terms of like bringing his thoughts, into words. So, hey, maybe they're going to coach him up here. I think Amazon is trying everything they can to get some names and viewership here. Because I think their broadcast team is a little lacking. And when you think about it, who's tuning into Amazon Prime for the pregame? I feel, come on.
Yeah. Well, and I'm surprised that Marshawn was let into the media after what he pulled. With the media in his career, the whole Michael Robinson being a spokesperson and the whole I'm just here so I don't get fined. It's like, but now you want to talk about other players, and I'm sure you're going to have some spots where you're going to be talking to the players. So it's kind of interesting from that respect. So I could definitely give you that. So we'll see, what type of job he does. Do we have a Prism pack reveal coming up? Or
Oh
what do we
yeah,
got? What
dude.
do we
Michael,
got?
you want to indulge us, please?
We're coming in hot.
Coming in hot.
We picked some good cards recently.
I'm very excited, dude.
The Giannis card, that one obviously sticks out. Not to mention that Kevin Love jersey
the
card.
jersey card.
And the dream, Hakeem Olajuwon.
The dream.
The Hall of Famer. I think that was huge. So we've really seen a variety of players, whether we're talking about legends, whether we're talking about up-and-coming players like Josh Giddey. I know Michael was riled about that one.
Giddey.
And current stars like Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I know Brian was riled about that one.
I mean, listen, man, Giannis is a throwback. Michael knows it. You know what I mean? The average athlete these days, they're lazy, they're complacent, but Giannis is Kobe-esque in terms of his work ethic. And he's just real, man. He's not into the drama. That's why he's signed a big contract extension in Milwaukee. He's not looking to go to LA or New York and have a reality TV show. He just wants to play the game. And you have to respect that. I know you respect it, Tony. I know Michael respects it.
Oh, of course you have to. Nowadays, the athletes are divas, dude. Prima donnas, immature, unprofessional.
So let me just say, I hope that Michael does not pass out here because I know he's going to be so excited about this one. The first card, one guy that he said is going to be an all-time great, maybe the next Michael Jordan, Anthony Edwards. So this is a great card here. Him dunking the two-hand slam.
Nice.
So we know he's fired up for that one. What a pull on the first card.
Look at Michael immediately into the case.
And we go
in the case
from a up-and-coming potential legend to a pastime legend. How about the former slam dunk champion, Dominique Wilkins? So a great pull here. Wilkins, you think about him on the Hawks flying through the air. So that's a great pick. And here's a guy definitely less heralded. We saw him star at times on the collegiate level, still looking to find his footing here in the NBA. Aaron Nesmith from Boston, Nesmith, whatever you want to say, but potentially an up-and-coming player here. And the last one, a guy that has some hype. He has the Popovich tutelage. Learned, I'm sure, a lot from Devontae Murray last season. Obviously, him on the Hawks now. Keldon Johnson from the Spurs, a guy who's had some big games in the past. So we're ripping packs, baby, and we are getting some good cards, some valuable cards. So you got to love the Prism pack reveal, Tony. I know that you are shaking in your boots right now. You're so excited. The Prism pack reveal. So far, out of all the pulls, all the cards, what's got you going the most here?
Kevin Love.
Just because of the jersey, or your big K Love guy?
Yeah, I like K Love. I think talk about someone who plays a clean game. I feel someone who isn't like too like in your face, dude. What? Yeah, I do.
The rebounding, the boxing out,
fundamentals, good guy,
and the jersey's cool at times
as
well.
Fine,
so I guess
everyone has their problems.
No, honestly, I always did like Kevin Love. And I have almost felt bad. I mean, now the situation has turned around, but after those, finals runs, what he had to deal with, the terrible records, all of that. But listen, man, now he's in a different stage of his career, still being paid a king's ransom, but isn't relied upon to lead a team. So I think it's a great situation for him. As Buffer says, praying for a LeBron James card. I mean, obviously. Yeah. What about a LeBron James Jr. card, also known as Bronny? That could be valuable. We saw him sign that NIL deal recently this week. So that could have some potential.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But yeah, man. So, Tony, do you enjoy ripping packs more or watching regular season NBA basketball?
Wow, that's a good question. I guess ripping packs, dude.
I mean, hey, you're smiling. I mean, you're smiling about NBA. I mean, that's a rarity these days, Tony.
That
Absolutely.
Is true.
Other than everybody, in case they missed it, watching that Screen Time episode from yesterday. Anything else you got for me?
Yeah, dude. Today around 1:00, I'm gonna be back on the Gaming Corner Pokemon grind, dude. It's gonna be dope. I'm just taking on the next mission here. Gonna be playing for like an hour or so, So if you're just chilling, working at home, pop it on the YouTube. Maybe you learn a little something, interact, have a good time. You're chilling, just working, hanging out.
I heard we were gonna get Renee on the Pokemon next time. No, that's what she was saying.
Renee?
No, Renee playing Pokemon. I thought you were gonna join the gaming corner. I mean, I feel like you've played some Pokemon in your day, no? Jack. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what. Wow. Some harsh words there.
Yeah, it's fucked up
regarding the Pokemon.
Yeah, that's fine.
Not everybody is a Pokemon person, Tony. That's it. That's what we've learned over the years. But listen, today we got a lot of action versus Pokemon Legends.
Why do you get the comment so early? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the lagginess, Tony. You gotta fix that. We'll talk to the IT department about that one. But today, no Yankees, so that takes a little bite out, obviously. No football as well, even though we will have that outstanding Thursday night football game tomorrow. Do have a couple playoff baseball games. No Rangers either, but some hockey. So I'm sure everyone will be tuning into that as we look for some early season storylines. But once again, really would like to thank everybody for tuning in and continuing to comment, like, and subscribe, as well as checking out the archives on the YouTube page, the merch, downtimetv.com.
All right.
Everybody, enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.